Hello everybody, and welcome to this course on social media, what no one has told you about privacy. I will give you an overview of the course today. My name is Anne Kayem, and I am here at the Hasso-Plattner Institute for Digital Engineering in Potsdam, Germany. The target audience is everyday social media users, social media managers, marketers, advertisers, just about everyone with a passion for social media. The reason I want you to be interested in this course is because it is increasingly important to be aware of what it is you need to do to protect not only your privacy and information on social media, but in order to prevent yourself from being used as a motor or vector for the spread of false news. The course outline is going to be as follows. I'll begin with talking about social media in general, why we love them, in which I give you some history of social media in general to show you that this is not a completely new concept. I talk about why privacy is important, because it is important that you protect your information on social media. You need to protect your content from spoofing, from phishing, from scams, in order to protect yourself against spying, advertising, and identity theft. What it is you can do to be safer is, for example, to browse anonymously, to configure your privacy policies, and most importantly, to be careful about whom you choose to be your friends, which makes it important for you to think before you click. And then we'll have some final thoughts to think about social media and privacy from a philosophical perspective. The learning objectives are mainly that at the end of the course, you'll be able to identify and apply good practices for keeping safe online, choosing the correct good passwords, configuring your privacy policies, trying not to share information inadvertently with third-party applications, and avoiding the spread of information either through fake news, spam, or phishing attacks, for example. In terms of assessments, what we will do is that at the end of each lecture, you will have a quiz. This will allow you to revise the material that you learned in the lecture. At the midpoint, we will have an assessment which will allow you to check that you are progressing properly in the course, but most importantly, to give you a 20% score on your final course grade. There'll be an exam, of course, at the end, which will count for 80% of the overall course grade. It will be focused mainly on identifying and avoiding privacy mistakes. The instructional strategies will be basically the lectures in terms of videos. We have a discussion forum in which I encourage you to join and take active part in. The topics will be provided to you to start off these discussions, but you're welcome also to contribute topics in order to join into and to amplify the discussions. There'll be practice questions, of course, at the end of each lecture, and you can use these practice questions as motors or as inspiration to provide topics for your discussion forum. In terms of support material, I encourage you to really read around the subject area. To begin with, there is, for example, Social Media, A Critical Introduction by Christian Fuchs. It's a nice one for talking about or learning about social media from the perspective of how it impacts us in terms of our culture, in terms of the social impact of social media, in terms in general of how social media has impacted on technology in general, and what this means for us as a people, as nations, as people of the world. The second one, written by Thomas Tange, Writing on the Wall, is basically just to walk you through the history of social media, to point out the fact that social media has existed from the beginning of time. We've used this in various ways and applied good practices for not revealing information to parties who should not have this information. And we need to bear all of these strategies in mind when we go onto online platforms platforms and not think that because they give us the feeling of anonymity that it's okay to just say what we like. The third one that I particularly like is a story of catfishing. Catfishing is just basically when someone creates a fake identity online and sucks you in by having discussions with you. It could lead, for example, to your revealing personal information that the catfisher could then use later on in order to provoke identity theft attacks. It's a nice one to read because it discusses all of the psychological issues that emerge and that come up when we get involved in these sorts of scenarios or situations that lead to our revealing private information involuntarily about ourselves. And there's other things that you can do. For example, you can watch popular movies on social media that discuss things such as cyberbullying, the social media attack, the social media network, for example, catfishing attacks, for example, and so on. But most importantly, what I would like you to take home from all of this is to try to remember the advice that your mom gave you when you were really little, when she said, "Do not talk to strangers." It applies also on social media platforms. Thank you.